woke up with a fire in my soul, a vision burning bright, a goal to control. The road ahead ain't always clear, but I'm stepping forward, no room for fear. Each stair I climb, a lesson learned. From every fall, a lesson earned. The mind is a weapon, sharp and true. I'm forging ahead, there's nothing I can't do. Think and grow rich, that's the plan. With every step, I take a stand. Climbing the staircase of my dreams, fueled by the power of my schemes. Mind-focused heart on the rise. Achievement is the price I prize. Step by step I'm reaching high, tuning my mindset to touch the sky. The journey's tough, but I won't quit. I've got the drive, I've got the grit. Each level up, a new horizon, a world of possibilities in motion. I'm sharpening my thoughts, aligning my will, turning obstacles into hills I can climb still. The power of belief, it's on my side. With every breath I'm fortified. I'm not just dreaming, I'm in the fight, turning the night into the light. Think and grow rich, that's the plan. With every step, I take a stand. Climbing the staircase of my dreams, fueled by the power of my schemes. Mind-focused heart on the rise. Achievement is the price I prize. Step by step I'm reaching high, tuning my mindset to touch the sky.
Well, good morning, everyone. I am thrilled that you're here. It's Friday, the 20th of March. We've got another week, and then we start Q2. I love this. Let me show these, the notes here, your comments. I am so happy. Let's see. We're going to go big and tall. Okay. Hello. Hi, Meryl. Good morning. Thank you so much. Happy spring, and I'm glad that spring is just about here. And I know you are calling in from Paramus, New Jersey. So I'm very happy to see you. And I'm Leslie Flowers. This is an ongoing study of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich: Principles, Leadership, and Laws, and also includes excerpts and teachings from my own 2014 bestseller, Champion. So I'm excited to be here. I've got a song for you from the 50s, and I want to see if you know who did this. So put in, hey, Charles, so glad you're here today. I'm going to sing this song for you, and I think you're going to really love the topic today. It's a little different. It's been a while since I've done this. So come on in, get a cup of coffee, water, whatever it is you like. And let's see if we can't get started with this song right away. Yeah. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream, dream when I want you in my arms, when I want you and all your charms whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream. Dream, dream, dream when I feel blue in the night and I need you to hold me tight whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream. I can make you mine, taste your lips of wine, anytime, night or day. The only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die. I want you so. And that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream, 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 dream. I can make you mine, taste your lips of wine, anytime, night or day. The only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die. I love you so. And that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream, dream. Well, who sang that song? 1950s, who knows? That is a very popular song. Hi, Ashif. Oh, it's Muslim New Year's Day today. Blessings and peace to the world. Absolutely. Hey, Coach Carrie, checking in from Indiana. It seems like I've seen you somewhere before this morning. Lots going on today. It's a wonderful time for creativity. Here's 𝗧𝗪𝗓𝗪. Lay, I'm so happy that you're here, calling in from California. And Lay has also put the YouTube channel, just in case you get bumped off. Sometimes that happens, and I can usually come right back on, but it's not always quite that easy. So Meryl is here. Charles is here. Charles has an 11 p.m. Eastern live every Wednesday night, and he's really delving into HR coaching and AI. Very unusual, poignant, and timely lives that he runs every week. And there's Coach Carrie Willis, and she has a couple of shows. She has a show at 6 o'clock Sunday night, which is Clarity from the Heart. And she has an afternoon 30-minute show on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, Connect with Carrie, or Carrie Connects. So we have a lot of very talented people here, and many of our listeners and attendees are over in the virtual wellness experience. But I will tell you, I wasn't going to not do this show. I'm a sponsor of that event, and I'm on at 2:30. But I'm not going to not show up here, because I'm here every week. And consistency, as you know from Think and Grow Rich, has a whole lot to do with creating beliefs, developing character. And and leadership, being your word. And that's what this is all about. So I'm thrilled that you're here. Hello, Linda Gray. You're calling from Texas. Gosh, I don't know whether it's snowing there, or whether it's hot, or whether it's cold. Texas seems to have its own ecological system, don't you think? Kind of like Northern Virginia. So let's move in here. Oh, I guess I need to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Yeah, that doesn't look right either, does it? Oh, I know what's wrong here. Okay, so let me just try something here. Give me 1 minute. Very interesting that it's not sharing. So give me just a second here, everybody. It's very, very, very interesting. Okay, give me just 1 minute. There we go. Okay, now we're where we ought to be. And consider that today is, we're still in Mercury retrograde. And that's an astrological thing going on that 4 times a year, about 10 days to 2.5 weeks. When something can go wrong, it will go wrong. And so what does that mean? It just means if things go wrong, you can just blame it on Mercury retrograde. There is something behind it, but don't worry about that, right? Just use it as an excuse not to have anxiety. Hi, Jason. I am so glad you're here. Jason Forehand has a nonprofit, TK Kitchen. And let me tell you, in HR for You, he has got a cookbook coming out. And there's a launch 9:00 a.m. Eastern next Friday. So you'll see more about that. So happy that you're here. So let us begin by my being grateful to our, let me see if I can change this. Let's do wide. Okay, that maybe that'd be better. I don't know. I'll turn it off for now. So I'm very grateful to the sponsor of this show each week, which is Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing House, and 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏 Galindo, who is the founder and the chief publisher in charge. She's doing the TK Kitchen cookbook, and TK Kitchen is a nonprofit. And also, she's known for doing numerous anthologies. And my number 14 book will be this spring when We Are More Than Our Diagnoses, book 2 comes out. So if you've ever wanted to write a book and you've been a little cautious, or you don't think you're a good writer, or could you really do it, Nicole is the one, because you can be part of a contributing writer to an anthology and get your feet wet. And then you can also be a best-selling author should it reach bestseller status, which hers do in almost every case, if not all of them. So grateful to Nicole for supporting this show. And this is our content for today. All right, this is week 12. We're going to go beyond 12 weeks. We'll start a new one the first week or two in Q2, so you can set a new goal. 90 days for a goal works the best if you use the 12 laws of achievement, which is part of this training. And these are recorded, so you can go back and pick up any one that you've missed. So we'll start with the 7 mantras based on auto-suggestion, self-suggestion. Remember, repetition is the first law of learning. That's how we learn. So each week we will generate for ourselves, as though this is our belief, 7 mantras that will go a very long way over time in building your character, your values, standards, and ideals. And then we'll review what we've done so far in Think and Grow Rich. We're going to take a look at your leadership skills. How have they improved over this 12 weeks? Then we'll get into the 6th sense, which is the connecting link. Now, this is usually the last thing you would read other than the epilogue. However, you all know enough for me to bring in the 6th sense and intuition earlier than the end, because we'll have a couple more after this. And then next week, we'll get into the subconscious mind. We'll do a meditation to lock in what we've learned about the 6th sense, and then we'll look at upcoming events. All right. Sunil, so glad that you're here. Let me put this up here. There we go. Respectful greetings from India, founder of Chanakya Sutra. And I'm so glad that you're here, Sunil, and we're new friends. And here is, yes, we do appreciate our Nick. And she's a wonderful sponsor and a wonderful guide for those who really would like to get their feet wet in writing. You know, once you're a best-selling author, nobody can take that away from you. You'll always be one. You can use it on your resume, right? All right, let's begin by generating these. Now, do this for yourself. Do it within your head, but if you're alone, do it out loud as though you're standing in front of 500 of your ideal clients. And you're sharing with them that this is your philosophy. Now, why do we do this? We do this because when we generate it as if it's our own, these are affirmations. These are very positive and they raise your cellular vibration, which is the natural alignment for the human being in the body. So positive is how we're built. Negative is pretty much our default. And therein is our clever universe who says, I'm not just going to give you money. I'm not going to give you a life that you love of wealth, health, and happiness. You have to think, because human beings are the ones who have conscious awareness. Now, we could get started and talk about the fact that there's some research now that animals have consciousness, but not conscious awareness. So we won't get into that. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's do it together. Begin here. Do this every week. The more you do this, the more you raise your cellular vibration, the more it slowly embeds this into your subconscious, where it lives like the truth. What's in your subconscious matches your results. Whatever's there, you believe. You have perfect faith in. Okay, whatever is there. You can't reject it and you can't see it. You can see the results of what you believe through your lifestyle and the house you live in, your bank account, things that are important to you, right? They will match what you believe you have the ability to do and the deservability to have. And we can increase that. So here we go. I am my word. I treat every agreement, including those with myself, as I would with an appointment with my most trusted and valuable client or colleague. I am proactive. I am the one to make sure my scheduled calls are held, even if another has said they would initiate the call. I am disciplined. I complete all tasks, no matter how small. If I miss one, I complete it within 24 hours. I am focused. I do not allow an interrupt in my plans based on my values unless there is an emergency that only I can manage. Then I reset the original plan. I am motivated. I show up hungry, eager, and present, even if I don't want to that day or I just don't feel like it. I am trusted. I maintain strict confidence with the private information I learn in dialogue with business connections, family, and friends. And I am the mirror of your greatness. I understand that the level of greatness I see in others is in exact proportion to my own. Searching for another's greatness expands my own. How do you do? Now, what there is to know is that these are intentions, they're affirmations, and the purpose is to raise our vibration. Now, it's an aspiration. You never actually reach any of this 100%. You lean more toward this and waste little time with their opposite, which is I break my word. If someone else is going to call, I'm not calling them, right? The exact opposite. I don't complete all my tasks and I allow interrupts anywhere I go. Something good shows up, I drop what I'm doing, right? I don't show up hungry. I expect the speaker to entertain me. And I do break my word an awful lot. So I can't say this one. And I don't see a lot of greatness in others, which means I don't have much within myself. All right, ready? Here we go. Hope you did well. Hey, Josette, so glad that you're here. Excellent. All right, let's go back to where we can see me and you. There we go. All right, now we're going to do a quick recap of what we've done over the 12 weeks, because this is linear learning. Think and Grow Rich was written 100 years ago by Napoleon Hill. Most all personal development books that are written over the last 100 years have their basis in the 13 principles of success. Napoleon Hill, when he was 20 years old and a cub reporter, was approached by Andrew Carnegie, who sent him on a 20-year mission to interview people who are wealthy, happy, and healthy, living life large, to figure out what are they doing that everybody else fails to do. Because we don't want to be wealthy and sick. We want to be wealthy, happy, and healthy. And wealth in terms of money, but also the other kind of wealth, right? So there's a lot of kinds of wealth. There's wealth in gratitude, etc. So he didn't pay either. So Napoleon Hill was sent out on this 20-year mission to interview. He did up to 10,000 interviews in 20 years, but he followed 500 of our country's greatest successes that are happy, healthy, and wealthy, and interviewed them multiple times to build the 13 principles of success. And there is the linear process to take your idea and to bring it into physical form. Now, it's a very deep book and there's a lot to study there, but I have read it about 90 times and I've been teaching it for 20 years. So every week. So I can combine them together and the cream rises to the crop, and I will tell you what you need to know without having to read the book. Okay, so, and we don't read every single chapter. So we started with 2 weeks on definite purpose. It is the introduction. That's not even getting into the principles. Why? Everything that you want must be super laser focused on one thing that you are compelled to do. You are driven to do. You do not know how to do it. There's something within you that will go against all your fears. Most of our ideas get knocked out by one of our 6 fears, and we'll get to see them today. But the thing is that our thoughts are primarily scattered, and the biggest problem we have is lack of focus. And with there's a sensory overload with social media. You've probably noticed that the ability to concentrate is harder, or to focus. So that's what you have to get first. So don't even move on until you have one thing that you want to do in the next 12 weeks or so. That works really well, by the way, for staying motivated long enough to achieve, right? But not so long that you lose your inspiration and motivation. You have to be compelled to do it. There's a knowing. And this is part of your sixth sense that we're going to talk about today. And also, you don't know how to do it, or you failed at it before. Because we believe in the things we failed at, they actually happened. So what we must do is counter or disprove them. But it's not only one time. That's what this whole process is about, is to outweigh our default fears, which we all have, okay? So after you know what your purpose is, then we go into desire, which is the starting point of all achievement. Here's where you fall in love with the idea. You think about it every other day. You imagine yourself already having it. You imagine having people over, or driving in a car if it's a car. Whatever it is that you want, right? You start to visualize it as though you already have it. You begin to fall in love with it. And then over a period of 12 weeks, which I use as an example, it's a great amount of time to do this work. It's enough to really get your teeth into it, but not so long that you get tired of it, right? Faith over 12 weeks goes through 3 iterations. There's 3 stages of building perfect faith in your ability and your deservability. You start out with expecting maybe it'll work. About halfway through the process, you start noticing what you used to call coincidences, people and opportunities showing up that seem to take you right towards your goal. You used to think it was coincidence, but it's not. You're a cause in the matter. You source your results. You source your health. You source the wiring of your brain through what you are thinking, how frequently you think it, and how you feel while you're thinking it. Okay, so the second part of that's belief. When you now have a firm opinion about halfway through, you start seeing these things happening, and you realize, okay, I did cause this. So now you have a firm belief that you're going to do it. And once you've held it in your hand, once you've completed and achieved that thing that you did not know how to do, that you might have failed at before, that you were compelled to do this, but you weren't exactly sure why, that's the first step to disprove the belief that you're not deserving, that you have failed, and you're not deserving. And that's what we must do. We must impress through repetition, which is the next thing, auto-suggestion, which is why we read the 7 mantras. That's why affirmations are so powerful. If you generate them as though you created them, we're not just reading, we're generating, and your whole body gets involved, because what you think is transferred into every cell in your body. So you feel good. And if you're thinking something not so good, everything feels bad. So then we studied imagination. There's 2 kinds of imagination. Hello, Dr. Annie. So glad you're here. There's 2 kinds of imagination. When you get that wild idea out of the blue, that's creative imagination. If you decide that's what you're going for, that creative idea that just popped into your mind, immediately the second imagination, synthetic imagination, goes to work to fill in as many puzzle pieces as possible. Okay? And then we went into decision. If you have a definite purpose that is compelling, it's one, and you're driven to do it, decisions are easy. Procrastination is the opposite of decision. And procrastination is our worst human habit. I'm sure you'll agree. It's because you didn't have one focus on one definite purpose that was strong enough to have you step out on faith. So if you have a definite purpose and something comes up to interrupt or looks good to you, a squirrel or a bright, shiny object syndrome, you know that syndrome when something distracts you, this is where you ask this question. If I take this on right now, will it take me closer to my goal or not? And if it will, you'll work it in. But if it won't, you must say no for now. Whoever has brought this opportunity to you, simply share with them, this is so fantastic. Could we talk about this? I'm involved in something right now. I'd love to talk to you about it in a few weeks. Is that possible? And most people will say yes. So when you say no, because it won't take you toward your goal, it doesn't mean that it's no forever. It just means for right now. And then we had persistence. Persistence is the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. So you have to have purpose, desire, and persistence of the 13 principles, or you will not achieve. That's the minimum. The more of these that you use and apply and you understand, the sooner and the more easily you will manifest what you want. It is a process. It's a universal process that works all the time. And this is what I'm teaching you. It's called the transmutation of radiant energy, because ideas start as energy, an idea that you get. And then what you do internally with it will turn it into physical form if you follow the process. I've been doing this for 18 years and I've achieved a lot of goals. In fact, my clients over 17 years have achieved 500 12-week goals. And this is either an entrepreneur, this can be an emerging enterprise. I did this with a new company. It works with any business person, and it also helps with your personal life. And so then we're at 6 cents. All right, let's see who else. Oh, hey, Harvey, so glad you're here. Harvey Tuck is over in the United Kingdom. He is a top voice in franchising, and he's traveling and he listens. And I've had him on as a guest where he actually went through the process. He comes every week right? And he's done some amazing things getting sponsors for his show. As an example, when he started his franchise show, I hope it's okay to say, Harvey, that was your goal. Now, I don't think it took only 12 weeks. I think that you had several each 12-week period. But the point is that your goal was to generate revenue, some revenue from sponsors, right? And that's what you did in following this. So thanks for doing that. It's fantastic. All right. And so let's move on. I think that's it. Okay. So next week we'll have the subconscious mind. Today I'm going to share what the 6 fears are, but on the 11th session, well, actually next week's session, how to counter the fears. So you can understand where they emanated from, what they look like, what they sound like. You know them. Once I make it clear to you what's happening, you'll go, oh, yeah, I totally get it. And if it's confusing, don't worry about it. The next time you hear it, you'll get it. So you always want to listen to this again, if you can, each week. Okay. All right. And I don't know what I'll have for the 12th this week, or for actually, it'll be the 14th or 15th, but I'll come up with something. Okay. If you have any questions, shoot them in the comments. Anything that's confusing to you, let me know. Okay. This is principle, leadership, and laws. So we want to take a look at these character elements, leadership principles, the things that this work is purposely and intentionally moving you toward being this way. Through practice, through auto-suggestion, repetition. But notice that it's in spaced, consecutive intervals over time. You don't have to think about it all the time, even if only a few minutes a day or a couple of tasks a week. But the thing is that you have to raise your vibration and visualize already having this, because it's very exciting consistently. So, when you learned your multiplication tables, it wasn't once a week. Oh my God, it was ad nauseum every day, wasn't it? So you answer these questions for yourself. Good morning, Stephen Ng, calling in from New York. New York. This reminds me, I have to do this for you, Stephen, and everybody. So years ago, when I was studying drama, we had to do orations. And here I did Paul Lynde. He was a comedian. And I remember this one. New York. A bottle of champagne in search of its cork. Rock, steel, sand, and glass. A mass of belching sewer gas. A dirty dish rag that needs wringing out. New York. Anyway, that was one of the monologues I did, and Paul Lynde was hilarious. Okay, so getting serious right now. So now we've asked these questions before, so I want you to consider for yourself, where are you now on a scale of 1 to 10? Because you've been practicing these, and these behaviors are beginning to evolve with you. Several of you have told me you've seen that you're more this way than you have been before, and that's what we're going for. It's an aspiration. When you practice it, it becomes part of your character. Do you set sail on a project without knowing how, or do you wait until you know how, or until you have the money? Okay, figure where you are. 10 is, I'm doing this pretty much all the time, right? Probably 9 is about the best we'll get, right? Because no one's perfect. Or are you lower? Are you cautious about taking action toward the things you want, right? Are you focused on how? That's fear, because you don't know how. So why would you look at how? Because one of the rules, the 12 laws of achievement, is that you don't know how to do it. That's stepping out on faith. Do you focus on how you'll reach the goal, or why you want it? Why is faith? How is fear? So you want to be leaning toward why. If you start thinking about, oh, how am I going to do this? That's when people give up on their goals. But if you go back to why it was compelling, why you built a burning desire, why you fell in love with this. I'm sure Jason, had no clue how to do TK Kitchen or HR for You when he began. He just had a burning desire to do this thing. And it was strong enough to outweigh the pitfalls, because we always have pitfalls as we're growing businesses. Do you stand for what's right in the face of adversity, or you keep yourself quiet so you don't rock the boat? Are you doing that more? Morning, Mark Thumar. So good to see you. Have you developed a wealth or abundant mindset, or do you still find yourself worrying about the money and it's something that you really want? It takes a little practice. You actually have to spend money. So one of the things in business is you've got to invest in yourself. So all this is great, and it's complimentary for me because I made my money over 18 years, and it's tiring selling, and right? But here's the thing. Are you investing? If I said to you, these weekly classes, you would invest $10 every week, would you do it? I'm not asking, I'm just saying, evaluate yourself. $20. Would you, most personal development greats invest at least 10% of their annual income in personal development, coaches, programs, etc. Do you do that? At some point you will, because investing will make it come back to you. At some point you must get over the fear of poverty or lack that you just don't have enough, because I'll show you briefly that the universe will give you exactly what you want, no matter how much it costs. Do you have an accountability partner? You're welcome, Sajid Kumar. Hi, Sajid Kumar. Oh, you're so kind. I'm always delighted when I see you here. Yeah, I'm consistent. I mean, listen, the consistency, I'm like a machine now. I do spend time each week preparing, right? And I pull different things, but this comes from my own 12-week program, which I ran for 18 years, which is called the 8 Essentials of Performance and Achievement, where I folded in Think and Grow Rich with leadership, the universal laws. So people, when they complete with me, they have a super well-rounded understanding of the universe. It's fairly intense, but a lot of fun. Do you surrender to a leader now? Can you do that easily? Or do you still hear the voice inside that says, I know better than them? They're wrong. Do you work for a better solution, or are you insistent on being right? Is failure still dominant in your thinking, or now do you see it as a way to learn? Every one of your failures had a lesson. This is where synthetic imagination comes in. This is how, when you get this wild idea, right, that you have all these lessons that are part of your experience, and those lessons are valuable. So that's where your synthetic imagination comes from. Oh, well, this worked. I remember when this worked. So you can use that. So don't cast off your failures. Look at them for their lessons and when you can use those lessons again. Are you still easily triggered by certain words? Or are you able to catch yourself a little faster now and reframe it to the opposite? And do you make quick decisions and stick to them, or do you vacillate, getting everybody's opinion? So just think about that for yourself. Hello, Jay Trivedi. Hey, Coach Carrie, so glad you're here. This is so fun. All right, let me hurry up now here. Quick story. You've heard this story before. This is about the sixth sense. And I'll make the long story short, okay? Because you've heard this before, but in 2006, I had $500 in my savings account. And the secret came out by Rhonda Byrne. And the whole world was on fire. So in 2007, I started a meetup group that met every month. And we dug into the teachers and practitioners of The Secret. And then one day, and I love doing this. I mean, I was making about $2,500 a month, enough to live on. And then one day I got an email. Now, in 2007, just like today, don't open emails from people you don't know. Something told me to open it. And because I had loved this meetup, it was called the Secret Society. And I loved talking about personal development. I opened the email and it took me, and I clicked the link, which is even worse. But it was my intuition, and intuition is part of your higher side. According to Napoleon Hill, even 100 years ago, he knew that your conscious mind is connected to the universe. He didn't understand everything about it, but that's where your intuition is. Landed on Bob Proctor's site, and the sales pitch I called was phenomenal. I knew this is what I wanted to do. They were going to train me and license me to be a coach and a consultant. 6 months later, this was late in November of 2007, I was in. I knew immediately this is where I was headed. I knew. I'd already had 10 years in leadership and transformation, all sorts of things. But I knew this was the path until I asked the question, how much? And the salesperson said $16,000. You see what I had. Well, it was so frightening to me. It was so impossible that I ignored it and spent the next 6 months focusing on what they told me to do before the training, which was to gather 8 people together in person and start teaching them Think and Grow Rich, which I did. About 2 months before the training, still didn't have the money for it, but still moving forward, my ex called me and said, we've sold some stock from the company. I'm sending you a check for $20,000. If you wanted enough, all of my energy was focused on that intuitive guidance, that knowing without knowing how. I had no idea where the money was going to come from. I ignored it. And then indeed, in 2008, I went to the training. So I just want you to know, listen to your intuition. Now I want you to take a look at this. You've seen this model before. So basically consider that you have 2 minds, 2 parts to your mind for simplicity. You've got the conscious thinking mind, and then you've got your subconscious automatic, non-thinking, reactive, emotional mind. Your conscious mind has a feeling. When you get an idea, you get a sensing from the universe. It's much different than something negative. Now, one of the things that you learn when you work with me is that you have 6 intellectual faculties. These are conscious mental muscles that through practice, they stand guard over your conscious mind and stop negative thoughts from repeating, for allowing them to repeat, because they embed into the subconscious. Now, you can reject things that you hear every day, but once you've repeated it, positive or negative, multiple times, it impresses into the subconscious. It lives like the truth. Whatever is in your subconscious mind, you have perfect faith in. You have proof. You have 6 basic fears that you've experienced, every one, and they were real. The problem is that every time we think of them again, it brings up the negative vibration, which transfers into your body and has to do with rewiring your brain or further wiring it for negative thinking. Now, the 6 intellectual faculties, today we're looking at intuition. A lot of people believe and say without realizing this, oh, intuition is a gut feeling. No. Consider intuition is a whisper. It's a sensing. Where you have your gut feelings is from your automatic, reactive, negative set of beliefs. Bad idea, right? Don't do that. So you've got a battle going on between faith and fear. fear wins because you've been repeating this behavior and these thoughts all your life. We all have. And they're embedded deeply, and your brain is wired that when something comes up, you're going to have a fast reaction to not do it. And only one thought exists in any given moment. So start to look at intuition as your connection to the universe, to God. Whatever label you use, there is an energetic force of love that is omnipresent that serves us all. It can be as simple as that. God is within you. This is where God is. And this is why sometimes when you go to bed frustrated or with a question on your mind, you wake up in the morning with an answer. This is where the universe comes in while all your limiting beliefs and everything are sleeping, and can finally get a word in edgewise and whispers the answer to you. So a lot of people, before they go to sleep, if they have a problem, they ask the universe, please, as I'm sleeping, God, give me the answer, please, for this problem I have. And you'll notice that there's antenna on the conscious side. Those are your five senses. That's how we get information. But people that do this work also are aware of the 6 mental muscles. And notice that one of them is will and focus. And all of these muscles atrophy if you don't develop them, like any muscle. So that means everything can come in, positive, negative, willy-nilly. You don't have any filters at all in the conscious mind. It all dumps into the subconscious mind. And most of it, through sensory overload, is negative. You can control it to an extent. I'm looking to see if there's any questions. Hello, Lisa Fevick. Oh, look at Lisa's here, and Philip is here. Hi, Philip. How are you doing? There's Jay. What is my heart telling me? You know, that's a very interesting point that you bring that up. The ancient Greeks used to call the subconscious mind your heart of hearts. But I'm not going to get into that right now, but that is really, that's something I want to talk about at another time. Because remember, what you're thinking translates into your cells. And if you're feeling good, they get a positive vibration. You've got a spring in your step. It's not good. The opposite happens. Okay, let's go on because I want to, looking at the time. Okay, one of the lessons for building character, and I'm going to do this very briefly, but Napoleon Hill did this. Every night when he went to bed, he selected 9 men 100 years ago who were happy, healthy, and wealthy. Edison, Ford, a whole bunch of them, Napoleon. He wanted to emulate their character. They may not have been happy, healthy, or wealthy. Lincoln was there. But each one of them had powerful behaviors. And what he did was when he lay down for bed every night, he visualized with his eyes closed his dining room table with these men all sitting around, and he was in charge. And basically what he did, visualizing this intentionally on the screen of his mind, as though he's right there with all of them, he would ask each one of them, please, Edison, teach me how you go for solutions X, Y, and Z. And then he would go on to Armour, teach me how to do this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He did this every night. Before long, he noticed that these characters started developing personalities. I know that sounds crazy. But for example, Lincoln always walked around with his hands clasped behind his back. He rarely smiled, and he did a lot of pacing. And so there came a point where he got scared and he stopped doing it. But a few months later, when he was asleep and he didn't know whether this was real or not, Lincoln showed up at his bedside. and basically put him on notice as you get back to work. He said, your work is vital and the world needs it. And then he continued again. He was no longer afraid and added up to 50 people. So this is how another way that you can embed into your subconscious mind the elements of character through emulation and mirroring other people's habits and behaviors and thinking to develop your own further. Okay, so I'm going to bring these to you. I want you to see these fears. We're not going to go deeply into them, but these are real. We'll talk about in a week or two how to outwit them, how to beat them at their own game. But what you need to know is that through experience, probably when you're 7 or 8, and then every time you thought about it, let's say it's public speaking, it's like the number one fear. That's the fear of criticism or judgment. You've spoken out when you were a kid and you got slapped down. Kids laughed at you, whatever it was. And you basically told yourself, I'm not doing that again. I don't believe that I can be good at it because I was criticized. That's the big one next to the fear of poverty. How many times did you hear, wait till your brother gets his shoes. We're waiting for the taxes to get back. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. Through repetition and that low vibration, now you believe that you can't afford anything and that there's just not enough money for you. Ill health. Well, we've all lived through COVID. That was real. The issue is when you visualize that experience, if it was negative, you're lowering your cellular vibration, further impressing the wiring in your brain to think negatively. But the work we do is building belief in your ability and deservability by doing things that you didn't think you could. And then we have the loss of love. Well, he wants to go out with me, but that last breakup was awful. I've had so many breakups. I just don't want to put myself in that position again. So that's a big one. Then old age and death. We all worry about death sometimes, and I certainly worry about old age, but gosh, I've done pretty much everything that I wanted to do so far, regardless of age. So the work here is to feed to the subconscious mind information and thoughts of your successes. So you have to outwit and do the opposite of, disprove that you can't do it, you don't deserve it, and you're not capable. That's not true. It can work for you, but you have to take action. All right, moving right along here. Let me just see if anybody else has a thank you guys. You guys are so good. Oh, Kimberly Lechnick is here too. She loves Think and Grow Rich. I'm so glad you're here. So next week we'll do the subconscious mind. And I want you to review the part of this about leadership and your character and really look at it. I am aspiring to be, do, and have all these things, but am I improving? Maybe it's just one area. That's enough. And I suggest that you listen to this again. Okay. Again, shout out to Nicole Angay-Galindo and Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing for being the sponsor for this show. Now, are you ready for your meditation? We've got to lock in what you learned today. Okay. And so have a look at this. I think I can even make myself smaller. That's pretty small. So I can do this. So you can either close your eyes or you can look at this. It's up to you. But here we go. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Let's see if I can get it going. Oh, goodness. Let's see. All right. All right, everybody. You're walking through the park near your home in the soft light of a late spring afternoon. The air is warm enough to relax your shoulders. Take a deep breath in to smell the earth around you and exhale slowly through your mouth. Each step slows your thoughts, settling you into the moment. The weather is cool enough to steady your breath. Up ahead, the sound of water draws you off the path. A small waterfall spills from a narrow brook, sliding over smooth stones into a quiet pool below. You pause, letting the scene hold your attention. The water moves without hesitation, shaping itself to the land, learning as it flows. You notice how it mirrors the qualities you admire in others: grace, resilience, steadiness, and how by observing you naturally begin to carry those qualities yourself. As you breathe in through your nose, intuition rises like the mist above the water, subtle, cool, and familiar. It reminds you that you're connected to something larger, something that nudges you forward, just as surely as gravity guides the stream. You don't have to force your way. You can follow the quiet pull inside. A breeze brushes your skin, carrying the first hint of evening chill. You take one last look at the waterfall, its easy confidence, its clarity, and then turn back toward home. With each step, you feel a little more aligned, flowing, learning, and becoming. Let's take one last breath in through our nose and out through our mouth, and then open your eyes. Wonderful. All right. Now, I hope you enjoyed that. Isn't this interesting? There we go. Today starts the virtual wellness experience. It's all day today and all day tomorrow. You cannot see, that's interesting, you can't see, go to creativelivingideas.com if you'd like to get a ticket. They're still available. I'm on at 2:30 today, and it would be fun to see you. And next Monday on Mind Over Matter Mondays, we've got a big show, a panel on transformational technology. The panel will be led by Charles Caldwell, and I'll be helping. We have several people who have done the Landmark Forum. And if you'd like to be part of this panel and you've done the Landmark Forum, please shoot me a DM and we'll add you to the studio. All right, everyone? And that completes today's lesson. And I do want to say one last thing here, that it's really important to have a sponsor for your show. And I'm excited that Nicole has come into the room, and I'm deeply grateful to her and her support. She reposts and does a lot of things to help me. So with that, my friends, make it a phenomenal weekend. We're almost to the end of this quarter. We have a whole new fantastic quarter coming up, a brand new goal. So if you want to redo the one you had, if you didn't do it, if you're still intensely in love with it, or you can go back to the drawing board and create your own, right? A new goal. It works 12 weeks very, very well for completing your goal. Yes, life is good. And I saw Professor Roxana is here. So excited that you're here. And with that, it is now 12 noon. And I'm going to play the outro. Yes, you helped me too. I know it's true. Thank you. I'm going to play the outro. And by the way, the intro and outro are done by Soul Media Live Productions and Aaron Gibson. I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see you Monday at 10:45 a.m. until noon Eastern. Have a great weekend.
I woke up with a fire in my soul, a vision burning bright, a goal to control. The road ahead ain't always clear, but I'm stepping forward, no room for fear. Each stair I climb, a lesson learned. From every fall, a lesson earned. The mind is a weapon, sharp and true. I'm forging ahead, there's nothing I can't do. Think and grow rich, that's the plan. With every step, I take a stand. Climbing the staircase of my dreams, fueled by the power of my schemes. Mind-focused heart on the rise. Achievement is the price I prize. Step by step I'm reaching high, tuning my mindset to touch the sky. The journey's tough, but I won't quit. I've got the drive, I've got the grit. Each level up, a new horizon, a world of possibilities in motion. I'm sharpening my thoughts, aligning my will, turning obstacles into hills I can climb still. The power of belief, it's on my side. With every breath I'm fortified. I'm not just dreaming, I'm in